Guys, you are not going to believe what finally came in the mail. I'm realizing this angle might not be the best, so... It's my parts that I ordered on Lego Pick-a-Brick recently to redo the bases in my city, which I'm super excited about. They took the actual maximum amount of days listed on Lego.com, so I guess I can't fault Lego because they did have to pick out the individual pieces and ship them all the way to me from Denmark. But I guess maybe I should start my order for the parts I want for my November video now.
Pardon the contextless change of shirt between the intro and the now. I just got back from an Owl City concert, which was cool, but totally exhausting, so hopefully I don't come across as too unhinged as a result of that. Alright, so today's topic of conversation is MILS baseplates. I had some requests after my previous couple videos to kind of address in a little bit more depth what technical LEGO terminology refers to for people who might be new to the hobby, so really fast, let's get a bit of basic history. MILS stands for Modular Integrated Landscaping System, and was invented to help coordinate between people who are designing different modular components for a combined display for a LEGO convention. The MILS system was created by and first appeared in Hispa Bricks Volume 3, Number 1 in 2012. Link in the doobly-doo. The first version of the system established rules for landscaping, obviously based on the name, such as where you could place a river on the edge of a base plate or the slope that a mountain had to take when it collided with the edge of a base. It also established the use of the 32x32 LEGO baseplate as the standard size for the system, and it established a handful of kind of convention-specific things, like using 2x2 brick space at the corner of each module to identify who owned the module. Having covered some of the basic history, we can move on to the point at hand, which is that the MILS system has been adapted by city builders in modernity. I'm not sure if I should call it the MILS system, considering that the S in the acronym stands for system, but I'm not going to police myself on that, and I don't think that you should either. The original system doesn't standardize anything about the structure of a MILS baseplate, other than the location of the Technic bricks that are used to connect two modules together, and the 2x2 corner plates that are used to sign the modules. However, the most common structure I see for MILS plates is the one that has been created and distributed by Bevan's Bricks. I've reproduced it here with the top layer taken off of most of one corner so that you can see the internal structure, which utilizes 2x2 bricks supporting 4x4 plates at the corners. I will also throw a link to his video in the doobly-doo below. A number of the strengths of the base MILS system make sense for people who are doing cities, particularly using LEGO's official line of modular buildings. These buildings typically take a 32x32 baseplate or two 16x32 baseplates, which lines up perfectly with the established MILS guidelines, and a number of LEGO modular buildings feature arches that render them unstable when all they have under them is a regular 32x32 baseplate. The examples that come to mind for me are the corner garage and the significantly worse offender Studgate train station. By comparison, adding a MILS baseplate to the bottom significantly beefs up the strength of the baseplate, and, by extension, the structural stability of the building. The interconnective structure that is offered by a MILS baseplate also brings some strength to a LEGO city. The depth, standardized at 4 plates, seems insignificant, but it's enough that you could do a recessed feature such as a road or a river in conjunction with your city. Additionally, you can take modules that wouldn't have a connection point usually because they don't have walls, such as a city park, and connect them because the connection points are moved into the baseplate. A benefit that's more cosmetic and less structural is the ability to adjust the color of the top layer of plates. Being able to tailor the plates underneath sidewalk, planter boxes, and basements of buildings allows those colors to match better what they're supposed to represent. And outside, where the baseplate is exposed, you can standardize the colors so that things flow together properly, instead of having the tan of the corner garage next to the green of the bookshop. Something that's less compelling for me, but is compelling to others, is the ability to run wiring for lighting through the hollow space of the baseplate. I know that there are a number of people who this is the entire reason that they use MILS in the first place. However, this system has been around for more than a century. This system's been around for more than a decade. I can do basic math. This system has been around for more than a decade. There's been a number of new pieces and other developments in the LEGO community. I think that we can do better. Specifically, I think this piece is something that can revolutionize the way that we do MILS plates. Right away, you can see that the construction is simpler. I've used this piece in conjunction with Technic pins and 16x16 plates to make a base plate that only takes 16 pieces. Even though these larger pieces are more expensive than smaller pieces, they cover more ground, and ultimately this brings the price down by an amount that was meaningfully significant. A benefit that's really easy to overlook, though, of this lower piece count is that it takes less time and less effort to assemble a base. Unfortunately for me, in 2018, I flipped over the handlebars of my bike and sprained both of my wrists, and as a result, I have to wear both of these braces semi-regularly to deal with chronic pain. And I have re-strained my wrists building big LEGO sets with lots of pieces before. Trading out 145 parts for a Bevan's Bricks MILS plate for 16 parts for a MILS plate is an absolute game changer. This time-lapse of me building 5 base plates in this style took about an hour of real time, coming out to about 12 minutes per base plate, which is significantly better than my experience building prior MILS plates. An aesthetic upgrade over standard MILS plates here is that this results in a solid black border all the way around the base of each of your buildings, or white, or olive green, or lavender, or whichever color you choose to purchase this piece in. Obviously, the preferable situation is one where the base isn't visible at all, but if you're a smaller builder who doesn't have the benefit of retaining walls and beaches to mask the edges of your layout, this solution looks completely cromulent in my opinion. I especially like the way that it results in side-by-side modules flowing together really smoothly. The thing that I'm most excited about, though, is that the extra plate of height that is afforded by using this new Technic brick as my interior of my MILS plates gives me the extra space that I need to build structurally stable micro-modulars that fit between modules as transitional elements. These new modular elements fit really cleanly in with the city. The first one that I built was this new version of the spacer that I was using to keep the Daily Bugle sign from jutting up against the wall. The new one blends right in, and you don't even notice that it's not a part of the set unless it's pointed out to you. I have plans for other places that I want to use this sort of thing, though. For example, it's really easy to create alleyways between standard modulars using this kind of style. In fact, while I was filming this video, I took the spacer module that I just showed you and moved it between the corner garage and the bookshop, and I like the way it looks so much that I haven't actually swapped it back to being a spacer, and the old ugly spacer is currently back in place. I especially like the way that this geometry plays really nice with being able to insert the new road plates without needing to do a full dedicated MILS base plate for every stretch of road. The added plate of height combined with this new Technic piece allow you to connect the new road plates directly to your MILS plates on either side, so long as you have the tiles to run side by side with them. And I think the end result looks fantastic. You can see how this lines up here. My plans are more glamorous than just dirty alleyways and necessary spacers, though. Something I'm really excited about is the idea of creating a 6-stud wide promenade insert that could go between 2 facing buildings. Adding this space would allow me to include planters and tables between the buildings that would create a real walkable city vibe that isn't really doable with other baseplate geometry. With this system, it's possible to do that and have it completely fit into place. Ultimately, that may be the single most exciting thing about this prospect at all. I could be free of needing to use baseplates for my city entirely. On its own, the Technic connections between these bricks isn't necessarily strong enough that I would trust it to hold a building together. But as is demonstrated with the LEGO art sets, you can create a really large surface by stringing these together with Technic and then locking them in place at the edges or underneath using plates and other Technic bricks. Being free of the very broad and incredibly restrictive geometry of 16x32 and 32x32 base plates opens so many doors, especially considering that all of the pieces that I need to build these kinds of inserts are available directly from LEGO, while base plates that are smaller than 16x32 are only available on the aftermarket. I do think it's important to acknowledge that this system isn't perfect, though. Probably the biggest issue that I've noticed in my planning stages is the lack of ability to do negative terrain features within a MILS plate due to the solid brick construction. However, I'm not too concerned about this because I think ultimately they'll just become insert modules, much like the road plates already have. There's also the concern of this not technically being viable for use with actual MILS modules, but considering that I wouldn't be taking just LEGO City modular buildings to conventions anyways, I think that that's a bridge I'll cross more when I get to it. The concern that I think is most likely to turn other people off of this variation on the system is the loss of the ability to run wires directly from the base into the building above them. This is why I brought up lighting being a strength of the initial MILS system, even though it's not one that I care about. My solitary experience with trying to light LEGO so far was not very fun, and so it's not something I see myself doing in the immediate future, but I have considered this, and I do think that it would be relatively easy to work around this issue by using another modular insert. The Daily Bugle already features an electrical capacitor as a connection point for it and adjacent buildings. I think it would actually be really cool to have an insert that creates an alleyway between two buildings and has those electrical transformers that conceal the wires that are bringing the actual electricity for the building up to the building's level. Obviously, that comes down to a matter of preference, but it doesn't bother me. These drawbacks really aren't enough to convince me that the system isn't better, especially for my hands. I really like this system, even with its drawbacks, and I'm going to be adopting it going forward. It will definitely be making recurring appearances in future LEGO City videos. That about wraps it up. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I've already gotten some very kind comments and some very good feedback, and I am looking forward to continuing to grow this channel. As always, when we hit 100 subscribers, I am going to open and build the Emerald Knight live on stream from 2012 and cost myself about $300 in the process. So if you enjoy watching people lose money and build cool LEGO sets, stick around for that. Hit the subscribe button. Additionally, if you're into Dungeons & Dragons, next week I am going to be doing a video talking about how I am creating my own set of house rules to really get the genre and flavor that I want from the Dungeons & Dragons that I run at the table. And if that's something you might be interested in, you should also check out my Discord, where there are going to be dedicated channels for discussing that project. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.